Good afternoon, Saitlanders. How are you? We hope that you are very, very well. In the last two videos, I have spoken about preparations, and the gist of the videos was to reassure people that sometimes the hill that seems too steep to climb is achievable, and even just getting a few feet up it is going to leave you better off than many people who've made no preparations, and even than some people who've made tremendous preparations because they've made the wrong preparations, because they didn't listen to good advice. As I explained in one video, a Saitlander just contacted me this afternoon to say that he'd heard a story of a guy who'd messed up a bit, and his point to me was, why didn't that oak listen to your advice? Well, the guy messed up badly. He made a bit of a thing of himself. And you know, you don't have to aspire to be the best and the biggest and the toughest man. Yeah, look at me. Sometimes the simplest preparations work. Anyway, in both of those videos, I got a bit sidetracked. And so I thought I would do a video in which I just rattle off a bunch of preparations that I may or may not have made myself, that may or may not all be relevant to you. But, yeah, might help. So I'm just going to go for it. This is particularly for people in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg, the southern suburbs of Cape Town, the northern and western suburbs of Durban, and so on, who are clueless where to begin, who see the way things are emerging in South Africa or developing in South Africa, and who've reached the ineluctable, as in unavoidable, just simply can't be avoided. Can't get around it. Conclusion that the trajectory of South Africa is suggestive of a terminal collision sooner or later. Okay. I was trying to say, and then I cut the one video short, the first one of the three on this similar theme. I thought that I could hear a bad noise in my kitchen. So, water spraying or something like that. It was just my imagination. I think it was a water cooler that blows in from the next room. That the frequency or the tone of the whirring of the fan was playing tricks on my ears. Anyway, so I pressed pause, or so I thought, to dash to the kitchen, but in my panic I pressed stop. And so that video kind of ended it, not in the middle of nowhere. I told 99% of the story. And therefore I've used the video, I've posted it, just with a little apology. And I can't even remember. Oh, that's right. I remember now. I was at the point of mentioning that I have today closed the deal to improve my chicken coop. It's not a big thing. I've got a satisfactory chicken coop for domestic purposes as it is. But there's one thing I want to sort out, and it cost me a grand. Nothing spectacular. But it requires an expert to do it well. So that's just one example. You've all heard about my goats, milch goats, Toggenburger milch goats. The herd is expanding and improving, especially with the help of Roz and Kevin. Not actually, they've put in a couple of ewes just for their purposes, not for mine. But still, it's good to have them there. It just shows something, even if I don't possess their ewes or their ewes' offspring. I don't want anything out of that. I just want my ram to be satisfied. and he's broken out 6 times and caused absolute mayhem because he's very big, very strong, and he goes to the local herds and bliksums the other rams and then takes their harems for himself for a few days, covers all of the ewes, and then moves on to the next one. It's unbelievable. So it's great that they've got their ewes there because it keeps him a little bit more preoccupied. Makes him a little bit more want to stay there with his ewes and his ewes only. I want to get a bee swarm. Okay, all right, you live in wherever you can't have a swarm of bees. We're just going through stuff. We began with rice, and I'm sure when you first heard me speak about the rice, you were perhaps skeptical or astonished. But after the reasoning, I'm sure that you're convinced. The person who arrives with, just for the price, for about 2,500 rands cost, 3,200 meals, or the carbohydrate, the base of 3,200 meals, is going to enter a national emergency plan or enter a time of nationwide anarchy or enter a civil war in a very, very healthy position, far more healthy than the positions of most people. Even though they themselves might feel, oh, I've got nothing, I'm poor, I wasn't able to prepare, I don't have the fancy stuff. Yeah, but you'll be eating. You know what a delight that's going to be. All of that's a little bit perhaps advanced for this video. Tools. If you are somebody who owns tools, look at this camera again. These dogs, I don't understand. They're small. They can walk between my legs, through the legs of the chair, the legs of the desk, around the chair. There's space for them, but they walk into the camera's legs. And they're hunting dogs, so they're nimble. I've got small hunting dogs. They're nimble. And they walk like great big galoots. Tools. If you have tools, you're very, very well set for a time of crisis, a time of great shortage of electricity. I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about then. A time of absence of the number of electrical tools that we would like to have. I mean, if we had an infinite sum of money, Suidlanders, we would probably buy 10,000 drills for the time that lies ahead of us. As it is, we're probably going to go into the crisis with 300 drills. And they will be woefully too few. If you have a hand drill or an electric drill, if you have chisels, spanners, man, I'm such a non-handy person that I can't think of the correct word. The little instruments for setting timers and spark plugs and Yankee screwdrivers and omslagboren. What is an omslagboor? I can't even think of the name in English. Did I say chisels? Man, every tool under the sun is going to be useful. Pens and pencils. Pens and pencils. Welding rods. Silver solder. These are cheap things. O-rings and brass seals. Fishing line. Tackle. Rods and reels. A whetstone. hand brace. That's an omslagboor, I think. A spoke shave. Imagine the value in a spoke shave and a whetstone. Painkillers. Painkillers. Grease. Imagine. Imagine. Imagine at some point in time when we can't get petroleum products and a machine is running but lacks grease. Imagine the value to the community of the grease that you possess to keep that machine going. You know, I only recently took up drinking coffee because of Mr. Miller's influence. I'd never drunk it my whole life long. On a few occasions in Italy on business, I would have espresso coffee and things like that. But by and large, I never drank it at all from one year to the next. And then when I began holding many long meetings with Mr. Miller on very serious subjects, when he offered me coffee, I would accept just because we were there together and we'd been talking for 45 minutes and it was almost like a break, you know, just to change the subject for 1 second. Yes, please, 2 sugars. Okay, thank you. You know. Anyway, so I discovered very late what volumes coffee comes in and so on. And I thought, given that I don't drink coffee very much and I'm a bachelor, I could drink fancy coffee. Then I could afford it. You know, a bottle a month, it's okay. And then the prices went up over the past couple of years by so much that I thought, on principle, I'm going to come down, very much down. So I bought a canister. Hang on, I'm going to press pause, I'm going to go and look, and I'm going to come back and tell you. Okay, I've got my props for our little theatre show here. I bought this Rick Coffee, 750 grams, and I priced it now. It's 100 rand roughly, 107 at one place, and I bought it 9 months ago, so I probably paid 90 something, and it has about a tenth left. It has lasted me solidly for 6 months. I can't remember exactly, but comfortably 6 months. $100. This, Johan Ayers and I went to Macro, and I bought this Nescafe Classic, now pricing at Macro at 334 Rand, 75 cents. Let's say I paid 300 Rand a year ago. It was a year ago, exactly a year ago. Or almost exactly a year ago. I remember quite distinctly that it was in February. Now, if the 750 gram one would last me for 6 months, let's say I was sharing it, but then again I was moderating my coffee intake. So all things considered, I could share it with 3 people over, say, 3 months. The 1 kg one, which I hope is going to be very tasty, what I know about coffee, would hopefully last me, I don't know, 4 months. I'm not preparing boundless amounts of coffee. And for years, I only drank water. I didn't even drink, people who know me well know that I went through a phase over the past few years of drinking piles of Coca-Cola, that evil stuff. Piles of it. But for years prior to that, for many years, probably 2 decades, I more or less only drank water. Morning, noon, and night. Even in a restaurant. I go to a good restaurant and have a glass of water. My sons know me that way. As kids, that was all they ever saw. So I'll be fine. But let's see what it says here. I think they put a thing on here, don't they, saying how many servings. No, apparently not on this one. Let's see on the other one. There we go. They claim that this is 275 servings. Okay, so let's use a calculator. The bigger one is a kilogram versus 750 grams, so it's 1/3 bigger. 275 plus 33% equals, no man, 275 plus 33% equals 365 servings. So under a rand a serving. That might seem frivolous to you, but I think that's a good thing to have in entering a crisis. And you might say, I don't have 350 rand to blow on blooming coffee, you selfish bachelor, you. Okay, fine. Let's look for other examples. Sewing kits and lots of cotton, knitting needles, wool, crochet needles, and wool. Huh? Have you thought of that? And other haberdashery type stuff. And that stuff is cheap. I'm not saying that per running meter fabric is as cheap as it once was. I am saying ordinary Chinese produced fabrics and zippers and sewing kits and so on. Not that, I'm kind of confusing different types of things here, but you understand what I'm getting at. They're all valuable. They all fall into the category of haberdashery. And they're mostly quite cheap. If you're saying, well, I can't buy a 4x4 Range Cruiser or whatever, my preparations are poor and weak. Yeah, but people with 4x4 Range Cruisers are going to need to have clothes mended. And I bet you 10 to 1 that they will not have thought of haberdashery. $200 toilet rolls was a note I made for myself. Vinegar for pickling. Vinegar is not for free, but if you are looking for something of the greatest value in a time of hardship, vinegar. Vinegar for pickling, as in biltong, pickling biltong. Curing it is the correct word. Do you know what value that will have? Do you know what value that will have. I told you before, and it might sound silly, but one day I said to Mr. Miller, as a joke, although he didn't know it at first, sheesh, Mr. Miller, you know what? Money has been tight, so I've been focusing on buying cheap stuff. I've got 1,000 I've bought over time. 1,000 Tupperware containers. He said, wow. I said, not really. I got Tupperware by another name. Butro butter dishes and similar. Coke bottles and you name it. Plastic and glass alike. And I said to him, it will serve exactly the same purpose. Tupperware will not do a better job of containing some simple thing like, say, rice or a sandwich than a butro dish will do. And I got all of it for mahala, for free. Gratis en verniet. And that, I think, can conclude our video of some nice examples of things that you can prepare without having a lot of money and without being a committed, hardcore, prepper, survivalist Suitlander. Perhaps you're even a liberal in, as I said earlier, the northern suburbs of Johannesburg. Thank you very much for watching this video. We wish you nothing but the best. May our Lord, our God, bless you and keep you in the times that lie ahead of us. Amen. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Cheerio.